If you're troubled, heavy-hearted, come to Jesus and find your peace. If you're unbound, empty-handed, come to Jesus and find your strength. He is hope for the hopeless, rest for the weary, help for the hurting. He is mending the broken, bearing the burdens, all that you're needing. He is. If you're wandering in the darkness, come to Jesus and find your way. If you want freedom, need forgiveness, just come to Jesus and find His grace. He is hope for the hopeless, rest for the weary, help for the hurting. He is mending the broken, bearing the burdens, all that you're needing. He is comforter, counselor, Prince of Peace, author and maker of everything, defender, deliverer, King of Kings. He is helper and healer forevermore, Savior and shelter through every storm, my refuge, redeemer and Lord of lords. He is child of heaven and son of man, provider, protector, the great I am, Alpha, Omega, beginning and end. He is hope for the hopeless, rest for the weary, help for the hurting. He is mending the broken, bearing the burdens, all that you're needing. He is all that you're needing. He is.
David, Hank, and Jeff, good to see you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is
man.
a fun
Happy
group.
to see you.
Yeah, man. This is awesome. This team together. David, we're in your home studio where a lot of this magic for this record happened. And so, but man, talking about this song, He Is, the first time I heard this was actually, I think you leading it. So Passion did their conference, but it was a
Right.
virtual conference this year because they couldn't meet. And you led this as one of your songs. And I remember, we were texting a bunch of people at the office. I'm like, hey, we got one here.
It's on. Arrows off the string.
That's right.
Too late.
But it was such a worshipful moment, and you had the choir behind you, and it was just amazing. But talk a little bit about the song, just the lyric, the thoughts behind it, how you guys connected on it.
Absolutely. The first time I get to write with Jeff, man, I've just heard we've been on tours together and stuff, and I've just heard so many wonderful things about the writing process. Hank and I have been buds for a long time, was out on the road with us and started writing, and it's just like, it's just a very natural thing to get in a room with him and start making music. And so it was amazing to see these guys have been teaming up on so many wonderful songs, and to be able to be in a room, part of it, they're like, hey, we want you to check this out. It feels like it might be kind of your vibe. And when you roll out a song, because you never know, like we were like nodding at each other, like I think this feels really special. We're like, this feels like it's got something to it. And then Passion it was such a bizarre thing because it's as you said, virtual. When rewind a year prior, it's Mercedes-Benz Stadium,
Right.
packed from floor to ceiling. Midnight strikes, and it's Hillsong United with fireworks going off, and I'm like, 2020 is gonna be the best year ever. and then fast forward here, it's a year later, and we're on the internet machine, and in front of me in the room are a handful of people that were there because we were still everybody was still socially distancing, and it's just an upside down thing, and you're looking at that moment going, gosh, all of the expectation that we put on 2020, and here we are still turning into a new year, and here's how far we've come. Meanwhile, after we were done with the conference, we looked at the numbers, and that was the biggest Passion event ever. Over 700,000 people went to Passion this year. Gosh. And you're thinking, what in the world, And so thinking about a song like this that just describes, a big portion of our time together writing was, what are the names of God? What can we say? Who is this that we're singing to and about, and what words, when we say aloud, will reform us to the understanding that the divine has interacted with us. And these words every word that we had on the paper is like, gosh, these are so big and reforming. And so I loved the process because it was getting to sit and collect those things and have in front. It felt like an afternoon of devotion.
That's well said.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hank, this song feels like it's really an invitation song, which we don't get a lot of these. There's just not a lot of these written for the church. And David, you had a huge, just impact with "Come as You Are" a few years back, and which is a very similar song. But talk a little bit about that aspect of the song of like, it really is a song that's like, it's a response. It's calling people forward, in an invitation or a response time, or I could see churches using it in a lot of different ways like that.
Yeah. This song felt like, it felt important, and like we were kind of only partly responsible for it the whole time. It happened so fast. I don't know, maybe an hour and a half or something, the whole thing was done. At least all the pieces, and we started putting, refining it. But I don't know. I think it was our first time. It was one of the first writes in person after quarantine and all of that. And I think
so. We were kind of giddy just to be in a room. Yeah, we might have spent the hour and a half writing, but the hang was like all day. It was. Yeah.
I think those verses were like that was all of us for the last few months, and it was like, man, it was easy for us to find ourselves in there, and it was like, this is the church. So
so
well
good.
said.
And Jeff, that David mentioned, like just the names of God, you guys focused on that. When it gets to that bridge, I love that the lyric that's there. I also love the intensity of that. It kind of picks up there, and it's like this da 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 da, and it's like it's just building, and all these names of God. And that's the part, where you just stand up and you're like, yes,
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about, that section a little bit, and just incorporating, just all of that content, about the nature of God.
It's interesting you say that that's the part where people want to like stand up and raise their hands, where it's like, that's the part where we're just talking about who God is.
Yeah. Right.
God, you are this, less about how I feel. You know what I mean? And the power in proclaiming who God is transforming. So it felt, I think, musically like it needs to support those ideas. It needs to feel like the song is transforming and building and going somewhere. And it's amazing how when you have a lyric that is just biblical, right? It's just on some level the bridge is just very scriptural. It's just to hear the names of God falling out that actually writes the music for you. You know what I mean? It does all the work, which is really beautiful. So yeah, I think the whole song. It feels like sometimes there's songs where the music drives some of what your lyric decisions are, but this really felt like the lyric is kind of leading the way. which are my favorite songs to be a part of.
Yeah, really special. Well, Jeff, walk us through what you're playing there. What key are you doing this in?
It's in G. The album is in G. Obviously, you can do it in whatever key you want with your church. But
No, just G.
just G. David approved. So it's very just kind of old church gospel church kind of chords. I mean, it's really simple, but just that a lot of that G, C over G. I'm doing that a lot. It's very, gosh, it's such a simple song, but yeah, the verses are just that G, C over G, 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 C over G, G, D, like that really simple progression.
Yeah.
And it repeats, and the chorus is just C, G, E minor, D, C, G, D. Then that section repeats. And the bridge, that section we were just talking about, is really simple. Just E minor for a whole bar. And it goes to C, and it goes to G, and it does that again, E minor. C, G, D over F sharp, like that transition chord kind of between the sections of the bridge. But it's really not a hard song from a chord point of view. So hopefully it'll be easily accessible and usable for congregations.
Yeah. Well, really special song, David. And this record overall is just incredible. Well done. And excited for the church to hear these songs, man.
I am too, man. I'm ready.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, man. This is awesome.
He is holy.